I hope you've solved the two problems for me. Now we are going to do them together. The first question, Mpo earns 12 Rand 56 cents per hour. If he works for 12 hours 30 minutes, how much will he earn? So now in this question, you are given the rate which is, sorry, the pen is not right. You are given the rate which is 12 Rand. Your rate is 12 Rand 56 cents per hour. So now, let's go back to the question. Mpo earns 12 Rand 56 cents per hour. If he works for 12 hours 30 minutes, how much will he earn? So now let's see. You can solve this using ratio. You can solve it directly. We know that for 1 hour it is 12 Rand 56 cents. So now we're having 12 hours. Let me write it down. $12 Rand 56 cents per hour. For 1 hour, she gets 12 Rand 56 cents. And then now, for 12 hours, 30 minutes. 12 hour 30 minutes, we know that is the same as 12,5. So now we're going to say, there we are having the time, and then there we are having the money. So we're going to have the time, which is 12,5, is to, what will the amount be? We don't know. So now we're going to say 1 is to 12 Rand 56 cents. Let me just rewrite it. 12 Rand, 12 hours 30 minutes, and then the rands we don't have. So it's going to be 1 over 12 Rand 56 cents. 12 divided by the rand. And then cross multiplication, we're going to have R multiplied by 1 is going to be R. And then we have 12 Rand 56 cents multiplied by 12 hours 30 minutes, which is 12,5 hours. So now we're going to say 12 Rand 56 cents multiplied by 12,5, and it's going to give us 157 Rand and no cents. And again, we can just say we are given for 1 hour we get 12 Rand 56 cents, and then for 12,5 hours it will be 12,56 multiplied by 12,5, and then from there 12,56 multiplied by 12,5 is still going to give you 157 Rand and no cents. And then we go to number 5. The question for number 5, a hotel charges 1,582 per week. What is the charge for 11 days? A hotel charges 1,582 per week. What is the charge for 11 days? So now there you can see that we have weeks and we have days. So now where do we start? 1,582 per week. And then we have 11 days. So we have weeks and days. So now where do we start? We know that 1 week is equals to 7 days. 1 week is 7 days. So now that means 1,582 is the charge for 7 days. So let's try to find the charge for 1 day. We're going to say 1,582. We divide it by 7, and then it's going to give us the amount for 1 day. So we're going to say 1,580 divided by 7 is equals to 226. So remember, this 226 is per day. This person is going to pay 226 for each day. So now we want to know, if this person is going to stay for 11 days, how much are they going to pay? So for 1 day, we have 226. We multiply it by 11 days, and then how much do we get? 226 multiplied by 11, we get 2,486 for 11 days. So this person is going to pay 2,486 for 11 days. Let's move to our next topic. We are through with the ratio, rate, and now we are doing proportions. A proportion is a relationship in which two or more ratios are equal. We have two kinds of proportions. We have direct and indirect proportions. Direct proportion, when one value increases, the other value also increases. E.g., the further you go, the more petrol you use. So that's one example that I can use. And then let's go to the exercises. The first example there. If a jet travels 1,200 kilometers in 2 hours, how far will it travel in 5 hours at the same speed? So now you should remember, they say, if one value increases, the other value also increases. So we had 1,200 kilometers in 2 hours. How far will it travel in 5 hours? So as we can see here, the time has increased. That means that the kilometers must also increase. So let's try and look at this. We have kilometers and hours is equals to kilometers and hours. So now here the first one, we have 1,200 kilometers is to 2 hours, and then it will be equals to kilometers. We don't have the kilometers, so we're just going to write kilometers is to, how many hours do we have? we know that we have 5 hours. So now again we're going to say 1200 divided by 2 is equals to kilometers divided by 5. Now we do our cross multiplication. 2 kilometers will be equals to 1200 multiplied by 5 will be equals to 6000. So now it's going to be 6000, and then 2 kilometers is equals to 6000. We want to get rid of the 2 so that we're left with the kilometers alone on the side. So we divide by 2. What we do on one side, we do on the other side. We divide by 2. This one cancels that one, and then we're left with kilometers is equals to 6000 divided by 2. 6000 divided by 2, sorry for that, is going to give us 3000. So now it's going to give us 3000 kilometers. Let's go to our next question. If a car travels 80 kilometers in 1 hour, what distance will it cover in 7 hours? If a car travels 80 kilometers in 1 hour, what distance will it cover in 7 hours? So now we have 80 kilometers. I'm just going to write what we have there. In 1 hour is equals to, we don't know the kilometers, and that will be done in 7 hours. So what do we have here? We have 80 kilometers in 1 hour. We don't know the next one, we don't know the kilometers, but we know that we have 7 hours. So now remember, they say if one quantity increases, the other one also increases. So as you can see here, we have 1 hour, and then there we have 7 hours. So that means the kilometers here should also increase as the time has increased there. So now we're going to have 80 divided by 1 is equals to kilometers, because we don't know the kilometers, divided by 7. And then again we do our cross multiplication. We're going to have our kilometers will be equals to, let's see, 80 multiplied by 7 is going to give us 560 kilometers. So now I'm just going to draw a table here just to show you. If you're given a table, how will you see that this is a direct proportion? You have video tapes, video hired, and then you have the cost there. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now remember, we said when your x's increase, your y also increases. So now video hired, if one video is 6 rand, for 2 videos you're going to pay 12 rand, for 3 videos you're going to pay 18 rand, and then for 4 videos you're going to get 24 rand. So now sometimes you'll be given a table that's full already, and then you don't know how to see whether it's direct or indirect proportion. So this one, it's direct. So now how are we going to see that? You take your y, you divide it by your x, and then the answer that you get must be constant. The answer must be constant. When we say constant, that means the answer must be the same for all of them. So now let's see. The first one, we have 6. Let's divide it by 1. It's going to give us 6. The second one, we have 12. Let's divide it by 2. It's going to give us 6. The third one, we have 18. We divide it by 3. It's going to give us 6. The last one, we have 24. Divided by 4, it's going to give us 6. So now you can see that direct proportion, just as your x coordinates increase, your y coordinates also increase. So remember, in maths literacy, we are not allowed to talk about x's and y's. So now I'm just trying to make an example here so that you understand. So now direct proportion, your videos, the number goes up, the cost is also going to go up. So now we come to our second one, which is indirect proportion. Indirect proportion describes a relationship in which one value increases and the other value decreases. E.g., if you increase the speed at which you are traveling on, the time used to travel will decrease. If you increase the speed at which you are traveling on, the time used to travel will decrease. Let's go to our examples or questions. The first one there, if a vehicle can complete a trip in 3 hours at 80 kilometers per hour, how long would the trip take at 120 kilometers per hour? If a vehicle can complete a trip in 3 hours at 80 kilometers per hour, how long would the trip take at 120 kilometers per hour? So there we have 80 at 3 hours, and then we have 120, and then we don't know the time. Let's just say time, T for time. So there, indirect proportion, we are given there that the car is traveling at 80 kilometers per hour for 3 hours, and then at 120 kilometers, how long will it take? So now in indirect proportion, we're going to say 80 multiplied by 3 is equals to 120 multiplied by T. And then we're going to have 240 is equals to 120T. Let's bring down 240, 120T. We divide by 120 on this side. We divide by 120 on the side. And then our T, let's see how much it will be equals to. 240 divide by 120 is going to give us 2. So now it means we will take 2 hours. So now can you see that we were traveling at 80 kilometers per hour, and then we finished the trip in 3 hours. Now the speed increases. We are traveling at 120 kilometers per hour, and then our time decreases. Let's look at our second question. if 8 men can paint a house in 15 hours, how long will it take 6 men to paint the same house? If 8 men can paint a house in 15 hours, how long will it take 6 men to paint the same house? So now what do we have here? We have 8 men and they're working 15 hours. This will be the men, the hours. And then on the other side we have 6 men. We don't know how many hours they'll be working. Let's see how long they'll be working. We're having men hours is equals to men and hours. So we have 8 men working for 15 hours. How long will 6 men work for? So now again remember, when one quantity increases, the other one increases, or vice versa. So now here we're going to have 8 multiplied by 15 will be equals to 6 multiplied by 8, and then 8 multiplied by 15 will be 120, and then on the other side 6 multiplied by h will be 6h, and then let's just bring down the 120 is equals to 6h. Let's divide by 6 on this side and divide by 6 on that side. On the side we'll have h because this one is going to cancel that one, and then on the other side we're going to say 120 divided by 6 is going to give us 20. So now it means 6 men will paint the house for 20 hours. So now if you look at this example, you can see that the more men we have, the less time we're going to spend. Here we have 6 men, and then we're going to spend more time. We're going to spend more hours doing that. And now we come to our last question. A motorboat has enough fuel to operate its 3 pumps for 120 hours. If one pump was shut down, how long would the fuel last the remaining pumps? A motorboat has enough fuel to operate its 3 pumps for 120 hours. If one pump was shut down, how long would the fuel last the remaining pumps? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this, and then we can do it together. The last question. A motorboat has enough fuel to operate its 3 pumps for 120 hours. If one pump was shut down, how long would the fuel last the remaining pumps? Let's answer the question. What we have there, we're having 3 pumps at 120 hours, and then one was shut down, so that means we are left with 2 pumps, and we don't know how long it's going to take. So now remember, we are doing indirect proportion. So now we're going to say 3 multiplied by 120 will be equals to 2 multiplied by h, and then 3 multiplied by 120 is going to give us 360. So I write it, 360 will be equals to 2h. So now we want to get rid of the h. We're going to say 2h divided by 2. On the side 360 divided by 2. and then the 2 is going to cancel the 2, and then we'll be left with the h. And then 360, we divide it by 2, and it's going to give us 180 hours. So now again, if you look at this, we had 3 pumps at 120 hours, and then the pumps were reduced. We had 2, and then the hours increased to 180. So as we said, as one increases or decreases, the other one increased. In this case, we had 3, and then it was decreased to 2, and then the hours, it was 120, and then it was increased to 2. So now if we look at the example that I'm going to show you of the direct proportion, the indirect proportion, the product in this case, the product when given a table of variables, we'll just make the example of x multiplied by 1, y is constant. So now the example that I'm having here, we'll have, let's say, number of ticket sellers, and then we have number of tickets per seller. We have 14 there, we have 20 there, 25, and then 35 there. And then we have 250, 175, 140, and 100. Remember, x multiplied by y must be the same for all of them. So let's see. The number of ticket sellers, we have 14, 20, 25, 35. As you can see, the number of ticket sellers is increasing. If you look at the number of tickets per seller, as the sellers increase, the number of tickets decrease per seller. So now let's just see whether x multiplied by y is going to be constant. We have 40, let me write them all down, multiplied by 250. We have 20 multiplied by 175. We have 25 multiplied by 140. And then we have 35 multiplied by 100. So let's calculate all those. 14 multiplied by 250 gives us 3,500. So let's write it, 3,500. We come to the next one, 20 multiplied by 175, it gives us 3,500. Let's write it down, 3,500. And then the next one, we given 25 multiplied by 140, and then it gives us 3,500. We go to the last one, 35 multiplied by 100, and then it's also going to give us 3,500. So if your table is like this, then you can conclude that this table is an indirect proportion table, and the first table, it's a direct proportion table. Remember, in the indirect, your x and your y multiplied give you a constant number, and then in your direct proportion, your y divided by your x is always going to give you a constant number. There is a question that was asked saying there's somewhere where I divided 1,200 by 2 and then I got 600, but I got 6,000. Let's go back to the question. The question was for direct proportion, the first question. If you look at this question, it was 1,200 is to 2 is equals to kilometers that we don't know is to 5. And then from there we said yes, 1,200 divided by 2 is equals to the kilometers divided by 5. And then from there we did cross multiplication. As I indicated here, cross multiplication, these two multiply by these kilometers, and then they gave me 2 kilometers. And then this 1,200 multiplied by 5, and then it gave me 6,000. And then from there, because I'm looking for the kilometers, to get rid of the 2, I divided by 2 on both sides. So 2 kilometers, I divided it by 2, and then the 2 2's cancelled each other. And then the 6,000 also, I divided by 2, and then I got 3,000. We've off our presentation. I hope you found it fruitful. It's the end. Thank you and good luck in your coming examination. You should work hard to pass. Thank you.